Well, welcome everybody. The purpose of today's IEP meeting is to hold an addendum to talk about Henry's progress from his annual IEP in May. And Steffi, I have your parent rights.
Okay.
Do you want me to review those for you, or do you have any questions? Those are the parent rights that you got when we signed the assessment plan. And
yeah, I think just having a copy is fine, and then I can
if you have
let you know if I have
yeah,
specific questions.
Okay, so we are recording this IEP today based on parent request, and so both parent and the school are recording the IEP. And I also wanted to provide the team with copies of the specialized academic instruction progress for summer. And then Chris sent me one as well. I don't know if you had anything as far as OT.
To add to it?
Oh, yeah, but we can just take your verbal information. Okay. So if you want to pass those around, and hopefully I made enough copies. My printer was a little stinky.
Yeah, it feels like one out there.
Thank you.
Well, it's definitely on because there's paper moving over here.
This is set up before.
Yes, everybody has one of those, right? I think this blower's not working. It's maybe just that blower.
Sorry, I could always crack the door open if I need to. Although it's not going to help, it's hot out.
Right. Okay. And so forgive me if I feel like I have a moment of blurriness. I have a little bit of an inner thing going on, so my brain feels a little slow today. So I just passed around the SAI progress that we have, and then the speech. And so we're going to talk about that today. And then did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I have 3 goals today, and I also have something that I can share with you if you'd like. Number 1, I have this show and tell of curriculum for you guys. I wanted to clarify that our approach to learning is eclectic, and that we pull in stuff from lots of different pedagogical approaches and methodologies so that we can construct a highly individualized educational plan for Henry. So to give you an idea of what his home education independent study environment looks like and how enriched it is, I thought I would just go ahead and bring the stuff we're going to work on the first half of this semester. There are other materials that I'll be pulling out. I didn't bring every single thing that we'll be working with, but those curricula and also just learning materials that aren't specific to a curriculum that we'll be drawing on. So in case you have any questions about that, I just invite you at some point at the end maybe to take a look. And if you have any questions for me about how I'll be using that, I'd be happy to answer that. I'm also obviously working with Lindsay, and we're continuing to develop more clear ideas of what curricula are working for Henry and how curricula that have worked for him or haven't worked for him in the past might be modified. So I think there too, in correlation with Lindsay, we'll have a very individualized, personalized educational plan that actually looks at where he is developmentally while keeping those standardized goals in mind. So I'm really happy to be working with you, Lindsay. Thank you. So we use these materials in addition to, these are just the language arts and the math-related curricula and materials. Obviously, we're also doing science and history and all kinds of other things, arts and dance. And so this is just those 2 that we're concerned about, especially for his progress that we're tracking, right? And what we're doing right now is we have 3 45-minute sessions or kind of chunks of time where we're doing teacher-led work at home, and that 45 minutes is not including the breaks that we take for sensory diet needs and for self-regulation needs. So those are
not special education. Those are what you're doing.
That's what I'm doing in the home environment.
And that's that. It's 3 times a week.
No, 3 times a day. We're having 45 minutes of individualized work. It's not necessarily at tabletop, although at least 15 minutes of that 45-minute session is at tabletop. I can demonstrate some of the work that we're doing that is more gross motor based because of where he is developmentally. For example, in math, he doesn't yet have one-to-one correlation with objects, so we're really focusing on one-to-one correlation in a kinesthetic realm. We've developed special learning tools for that, like our dot-based number line with polyspots, so that he can organize them by less and more, a concept he already has on board, and then start to associate that volume with an actual number. We're going to bring in the symbols later because the symbol, because of his language development, is so not age appropriate that we're not bringing that level in the kinesthetic work yet, although we are certainly exposing him to that in other parts. For example, a 45-minute math chunk looks like this. We read picture books. I've provided a few samples of them, like 10 dots or 10 apples on top, books that are talking about up to 10 quantities of numbers, which is where he is. We then do an activity around that. For example, after reading 10 dots, he made a dot book of his own. He's adding the words to that. We have an apple on top activity with the apples for that here. Then we do our kinesthetic work. And so there's like a tabletop, reading component, and then a kinesthetic component basically to each of those chunks. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that because I'm a really hands-on learner, and I thought the sheer volume of enrichment available to him would be impressive to you and maybe put at ease any concerns about curricular support and also structure. So my second goal is to present my personal layperson's report on his progress this summer in the area of speech and language and requests for assessments that could help us better determine how to serve Henry. And third, I want to listen to you guys. That was probably the most important goal. I want to really hear the findings that you all are presenting, both Ocean Grove and the contractors for Ocean Grove. And then I want to collect all of that, all of the relevant reports, which I hope I've gotten the copies already, and all the assessments, which I hope you saw the request for the assessments as well.
So we'll be providing the assessments within 5 business days.
Okay.
According to FERPA.
Okay. So as Henry's parents and
I'm sorry, can I clarify?
Sure.
You've already been provided those at
the assessments?
Yes.
Oh, I'm talking about, maybe I need to get clarification on how to request those appropriately then. I'm talking about like when he was assessed for speech language, not the summary of those assessments that is in the IEP, but the actual assessment. I need those for example, the central auditory processing assessment that I'll privately do if the school is not able to provide that. In order to determine if he's able to receive that assessment, they need to understand his level of speech language. And I did request something like that from you.
Are you talking about the report that was done by?
Okay.
Yeah.
Before Kaya, I can go into that when we read our when I present my report.
Yeah.
But
We have. I just want to clarify. We have a hard stop at 2:00. So I've got down so far. You would like to talk about the reports that are